This week on the Computer Chronicles, how to design a great website. We'll show you how to use Macromedia Flash to jazz up your website. We'll look at several new graphic and animation tools from Adobe. You'll meet an expert on JavaScript who will show us how to add smarts to your website. And we'll meet a man who has been called the guru of website usability, Jacob Nielsen. How to design a great website, coming up next on the Computer Chronicles. Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by PC to PC, the online computer migration service from PC First, moving files, applications, and preferences from your old computer to your new one. Additional support is provided by Upside Events, presenting the Digital Lifestyle Revolution Conference, where people and technology intersect. Hi, and welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stewart Cheifet. Well, for some people, creating, designing, and building a website is still a difficult hurdle to overcome. There are some simple online tools for creating basic personal websites, but the intricacies of creating a really cool website are still a mystery to many people. Things like adding Flash, Java applets, optimizing your user interface, making sure your site loads fast. These are the things we'll look at today as we show you how to build a killer website. There actually is a new online web creation site that is very powerful. It's called moonfruit.com. And here to tell us about it is Norman Meyerowitz, president of Macromedia Ventures. Hi, Norm.
Hey, Stuart.
Macromedia, you guys are known for Flash, of course, which is one of the coolest things we see on a website. For people who may not know exactly what Flash is, give us a couple examples of Flash as we see it on the web right now.
Okay, great. Well, people use Macromedia's Dreamweaver for creating websites, and they use Flash for creating rich media in the websites. People know it a lot these days because of entertainment. Here's an example of The Critic, which used to be on TV, but now is exclusively in Flash.
So a lot of the animation stuff, which of course is a little easier to do on the web with Flash, is using your guys' technology to watch TV on the web.
Right, production values of TV, but it runs over low bandwidth on modems.
All right, so we're familiar with sort of the entertainment type things. Let's talk about some commercial applications. People are in fact using Flash increasingly in the advertising arena, right, to make ads more interesting on the web.
Right, Coca-Cola uses it for branding, for example. This is what people are doing, so you can really get the brand across.
So you go to the Coca-Cola page, a little more exciting stuff is happening.
And then people are also using it, CNET, for example, and ZDNet are using this for creating rich media examples inside of their web page. Here's an example of Oracle's ad where you can have that.
You want to scroll that up a bit so we can see the rest of the ad?
Sure, you can have that.
All right, so this is like the new version of the ad banner. So the boring ad banner, click it and leave the site, actually watch a moving ad inside the site.
Moving ad, and now I can find out about Oracle 9i right like that without having to...
so it's a living window inside that page.
Living window, I don't leave the site, so the advertiser is pleased and the site owner is pleased.
Okay. Now you have another interesting example, a little more subtle use of Flash inside an online bank.
If I look at that online bank, one of the things that Flash is being used more and more for is applications. There are 300 million people out there that can actually view Flash, 96% of the web.
Wow.
And Flash allows you to create seamless experiences. Instead of the browser refreshing all the time where you have this break in the experience, you can create an immersive experience.
All right, so how are you using Flash on this bank site?
Well, here's a bank, and I'm going to launch this bank. And imagine this is an ATM, but you can actually operate through it. And there's a voice that's actually telling you how to operate. I can actually transfer funds, and I can do it. This doesn't look like a website. This looks like an ATM with voice and stuff.
So again, the idea is you're getting out of that old page metaphor. Leave this to go here, leave that to go here. Stay in the bank, the virtual bank, if you will, and do different things in that
Exactly, and you build that using the Flash authoring tool.
All right, now show us another multimedia example of how you would create, educational things or entertainment things using the traditional Flash tools.
Well, this is something that Business 2.0 used to actually explain the difference between the PC world and the wireless world. And this is where you do storytelling, which you normally wouldn't do on a web page.
Sure.
You use audio, you use animation.
All right, now briefly show us, using the traditional sort of software tool, Flash Studio, how I might go in and modify that thing and what that interface would look like.
If you're a professional, you would actually use the Flash authoring tool, and it uses a timeline metaphor to actually stage the different animations and audio. And it's as simple as going in and clicking on various things to change this. So I can change this to Computer Chronicles.
Sure. But I mean, this is you say, this is for the professional. I mean, we see lots of windows, lots of parameters, kind of complicated. You got to really learn. There's a little training curve here, right?
Yeah, you need some talent.
Yeah. Let's talk then about the next thing, which is what I mentioned, moonfruit.com, in which you've taken a lot of this capability, put it on a live website, sort of more drag and drop, point and click, where normal people can actually accomplish some of the same things.
Okay, well, let's go to
moonfruit.com.
And here's moonfruit.com, and I'm logged in as myself, and here are my favorite sites, and then this is a site that I built myself.
Okay, so show that to us, yeah.
So Moonfruit has actually used Flash to create this very sophisticated application. So they've used the Flash authoring tool, but then they've made it so end users can actually create their own
So actually
sites.
sites in Flash, we're using Flash to create other Flash things.
Flash. So this is an end user site for pop music, and I have a home page.
So this is something you would have built in Moonfruit.
I would have built myself in Moonfruit. Here's concert pictures I can put up. Here's a CD database that I can actually create.
And that's pretty cool.
And if I go to the home page, this is how you edit it. This is how easy it is to actually create your own page. So I can come over here, I can simply touch on welcome and say, change that to hello, Stewart.
And you can mess around with that. I mean, flip it, rotate it, do kinds of cool things
Here
like
I'm going to scale it. I can rotate it.
It's obviously a lot simpler interface than we looked at before.
Right, I can add an item if I'd like.
Okay, the site is moonfruit.com. I can go in there and use it for free
Yep.
and design a cool site and put Flash in it.
Exactly.
Norm, thank you very much.
Thanks, Stuart.
Well, the key to a really attractive and engaging website, of course, is graphics. And one company that's been around for a long time providing great graphics tools is Adobe. Programs like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere, etc. Well, Adobe is now coming out with new design tools for jazzing up your website. And here to show them to us is Mark Eman of Adobe. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Okay, a couple of things we want to talk about. You have something called Go Live. Yes. Show us the basics of what you can do with Go Live and how it works. It's your tool.
Sure. Well, Adobe Go Live is really a tool for creating cutting-edge websites that the most discriminating web users, web developers use. And what I'd like to show you is how it can also be very effective for use by just someone who's starting out building websites.
Okay.
We've put in some things here that allow you to...
so we're in Go Live right now.
That's right. We're in Go Live. And one of the unique things we have here is a layout grid. A layout grid allows a user to position an element absolutely anywhere on the page, sort of like the old desktop publishing metaphor, which is something that is non-trivial if you're not using if you are using another product.
So I mean, the point is you have the Photoshop history here, so you guys are sort of taking that, integrating it inside the Go Live tool. Is that the idea?
Absolutely, and I'd like to show you next a really tight piece of integration that is, again, unique. Because we share the technologies, what I'd like to do is show you how we can take an image that was created maybe for another purpose. So here's an image that is 1.7 megabytes, a Photoshop file. We want to put it on our website.
So a monster file that might have been designed for print somewhere, where you don't care about the size of the file.
Exactly. Well, you do care on the web.
You're not going to get away with that here.
Exactly. So we have this tool in Go Live called the Smart Objects. It brings up this Save for Web dialog box. And if you've used any of half a dozen Adobe products, this is very familiar to you. So your learning curve is 0. You can set the compression that you wish for this particular image. In this case, I'm also going to want to make the image a little bit smaller on my website. So let's go ahead and make that smaller. I'll save it to my desktop to make things happen a little more quickly here. And again, I can move it around anywhere thanks to my layout grid. But here's something that's really cool and unique. Suppose you wanted to now, as I realize, I've made it a little too small.
Right, so you compressed it, but you've also compressed it.
I've made it the size a little bit too small
for that site.
And now if I were in any other web design application, I would, in stretching this image, end up with the jaggies. I mean, we've all seen that in those pictures.
Right. So you really want to go back to the native file originally and work with that one?
Well, this is where you had to, but now for productivity's sake, because this is what we call a smart object, all I need to do is resize within Go Live. And I don't know if you see that dialog box pop up there. That said that it was going back to the original Photoshop file to resample the same compression that I set before, the same quality of image, but now at this new size.
Okay, so again, we get to make it larger without paying the price of making it larger, essentially.
And saving a lot of time by not having to switch applications.
Yeah. All right, let's go over here to what you have on, by the way, your brand new G4 PowerBook. Very cool, very cool indeed, slick looking.
Thank you.
And on this machine, you have what, live motion?
Yes, I do.
Which is a way to create the kinds of flash animations we just saw before?
Live Motion is Adobe's tool for creating Flash files.
Okay.
And it, again, shares a lot of technology with other Adobe applications.
All right, now most people think it's pretty complicated to create some of these things. We saw one easy version over there. Show us how easy it is to use Live Motion.
Sure. Well, we go ahead to the screen here. We have the beginnings of an introduction animation to a website. And at the bottom of the screen, we have the timeline. The timeline basically moves through time, and I've got a few elements here. So you move back and forth, and you can see that I have different layers of information. But what I want to do is show you how easy it is to just start with some new animation. Again, I have a document on my desktop. This is, again, a Photoshop file. It's very popular. Over 90% of the web pages have images created with Photoshop on them. So I simply drag and drop, and I end up with an image on the screen that is this Photoshop animation, actually a Photoshop photograph, which originally actually has two layers. The sky is one layer and the skier is another layer.
You probably don't want to animate the sky, right?
Well, it will look a little funny to have the sky move so quickly. So again, thanks to the integration between our products, we can convert the layers into separate objects. So I can now, in this case, delete just the sky.
Okay.
And
now you want to animate the skier guy.
Let's use the skier here and animate him. We can, of course, resize him. And what I can do here is, if I point out the timeline, automatically I have a layer, and it's called skier because of the integration between our products. It remembers the way I named it in Photoshop. And I've just twirled down these little keyframes. And the keyframes basically setting a point in time.
Right, so you're going to create the little path for the animation here?
Exactly. So the first thing I'm telling it is at this point in time, you see the little black dot, this is where I want you to be, X and Y coordinates on the screen. Next, I'll move my cursor to the end of the animation and just move this guy down roughly the other side. And that's it. I have done the animation.
And show us that it really works.
View that, play it. Here comes the first part of the animation, and here comes the guy flying across the screen. That easy.
All right, real quick, or out of time, what does it cost for these tools like Go Live and Live Motion?
Adobe Go Live is available for less than $300, plus a special promo. There are a lot of Photoshop users out there. If you upgrade to 6.0, you can get it for $99.
Pretty cool tool.
And Live Motion's less than $100
Mark,
in the right promo.
Thank you very much. Coming up next, a guide to using JavaScript on your website. Don't go away. We'll be right back. If you really want a hot website that does things and is interactive, you need JavaScript. And here to give us some of the basics on using JavaScript on your website is Danny Goodman, author of the JavaScript Bible, 1,000 pages worth of JavaScript, so you must be the author, the expert of the Bible there.
We'll see.
Okay. Danny, first of all, let's define our terms. It's called JavaScript, and people talk about Java. What exactly is JavaScript, and how is it different from plain Java?
There are two very different technologies. Java was developed by Sun, and it's used primarily on the server programming now. JavaScript is a general-purpose, standards-based language that was developed at Netscape, and it's used extensively now in web browsers, most of the modern browsers we use now.
All right, now what is the value of putting some JavaScript applications into my website? When and how should I use JavaScript?
The way I like to use it is as an additive to your content, so that someone who has a script-enabled browser has a better experience than someone who does not have a script-enabled browser.
All right, well, let's explain what you mean by that. I mean, so what are some of the things you can do by inserting JavaScript? Like, I know you have one example of updating, making sure things are timely rather than just sort of static, stale content. How does that work?
Well, at my own website, I have pages that list the errata for my books.
Okay.
And you may have visited 6 months ago, and I've done many updates irregularly over that period.
Okay.
And what you want to see is what's new for you. And
okay, so without the JavaScript, I go there and I would see all the same stuff I saw before.
There.
With JavaScript, it's smart enough to know when the last time I was there and only count from there on.
And new items are flagged, like on this page, new items show with a little icon that indicate that this is new for you. And none of this information is stored on the server. It's all done locally.
Okay, so essentially the JavaScript now is tagging the specific things that are important to me as the individual user, so there's a big benefit there. Okay, what other examples of things we could do by inserting JavaScript as an additive on our website?
For instance, if you are using, if you have visitors who are primarily JavaScript-enabled browser users.
Okay.
You can enhance the experience.
Now let's explain what that means. What is a JavaScript-enabled browser?
It's pretty much any browser from Netscape 2 forward and Internet Explorer 3 forward.
So most people have it?
Yes.
All right, so what can you do with this example?
This is a case of a little calculator that enhanced the interface to it so that if you want to find out the value of a resistor component, for instance, we're doing things here locally by changing images and performing calculations that don't have to go back to the server. We're manipulating all of the objects on the screen here and locally and instantaneously.
All right, so what we're doing here, instead of just doing the calculating numbers, you're actually also in real time changing the appropriate colors on the resistor so we can see what those numbers represent.
And we're using the brains of the computer, the local computer.
Right, again, not out on the server, it's sitting right in here. Now let's talk about, we're not going to do this in a couple of minutes, how you create JavaScript. Just give us a simple example of adding a piece of JavaScript code.
Well, JavaScript goes in the HTML documents that you create. So here is a very simple HTML document.
Okay.
And here within the body part, there is a script tag here and then some script statements here. In this case, these statements will generate some content as the page loads about the browser and so on. When you load this page in the browser, you get a page that looks like this. Not very impressive, but it's a very simple example. And it's telling you that in this case, running 4.7.
But again, sort of an update example to make it sort of live and interactive and relate to your particular experience.
And the content is dynamically generated.
All right, now are there things, we know in HTML there are sort of lots of programs you can use that don't require you to know the code, that sort of just let you point and click and do things. Is there anything like that for JavaScript?
Sure, a lot of the WYSIWYG HTML editors like Dreamweaver will let you do some of the common JavaScript functions like mouse rollovers that change the image without you having to write any code for that.
All right, so you can do some limited things in some of those,
but if you just want to do it yourself, you can use a text editor to generate the HTML and the script.
Not that complicated.
You know, no fancy authoring environments.
One of the issues with JavaScripting, of course, is incompatibility issues between a Netscape and an Internet Explorer. How do you deal with that?
Well, there are a lot of incompatibility factors. But one of the ways you can do that is for example, the Dreamweaver tool, for those rollovers, it generates code that will work on a wide range of browsers. Another approach that you can use if you're doing your own code is using libraries of code that act as an intermediary between your simple code and all the complexity.
All right, so they know where they are and add the appropriate library to solve that problem. Last example is something we call data collection lookup. Show an example of what that would do using JavaScript.
This is something I had to do myself for the index page to the 4th edition of the JavaScript Bible. I have over 300 listings, and I wanted to create an easy way of accessing them and knowing which ones are compatible to your browser.
What are we looking at here?
So this is the index page, and you choose whatever chapter you want, and it lists the listings for that particular chapter, and it highlights which ones in color are compatible with this browser.
And this is something that might have been a collection of all these separate pages. You can bring all this information together in one sort of interactive
This entire page is one 37K document.
Not bad. Thank you very much, Danny.
Thank you.
All right, well, you can have all the exotic elements ever invented on your website and still have a lousy website, one that's hard to use, slow to load, or just plain confusing. Here to guide us through the secrets of web usability is one of the world's leading experts on the subject, Jacob Nielsen. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you, Stewart.
All right, let's go through some examples. I want to just call up some websites, and I want you to play critic here. You can be the movie critic here. Tell me why it's good or why it's bad, okay? And let's start with one, Mont Blanc. And I know you have some issues with this one.
Well, we'll pull it up here and see what happens. And
what is this website for?
It's for pens, very nice pens, I should say.
Okay, so you're buying the Mont Blanc pens.
Yeah, they're very nice pens, but see, we still don't actually know what it's about.
Where is my experience, right?
We're just waiting and waiting, so it's loading and it's loading and it's loading.
So it's trying to put this big flash opening up.
Yeah, it is, and we're still waiting. And we probably even have a fast connection here in the studio.
Yeah.
So now we've finally got their logo and some little shading thing, and I'm asking, was this worth waiting for? And I say no.
Yeah. So, I mean, but a lot of sites do this. They just put all this cutesy junk up, which the guy who wrote it may love, but you as a user, you're gone to another website by now.
Don't put these barriers in my way. Get me right to where what I want. And one more thing, they pop up a separate window. Why do that? I mean, behind it is my original window, but why do the separate window? Stupid.
Doesn't do you know. All right, let's go to interesting one, the Sony website.
Right.
Now, you would think that'd be pretty cool, but you have some issues with that one.
Right. Just closed off the Mont Blanc website, and let's go to Sony. Well, first of all, you got to actually pick it out of a W in your bookmark list because they happen to call the site Welcome
So
to
if you're
Sony.
looking for Sony, it comes up under W,
Exactly.
not S, which is pretty dumb.
Now I only have a few on this particular list, but if you have many bookmarks, as many
All right,
people
so let's
do,
pull up the Sony site.
So we pull up the Sony site.
And what are the problems here?
Well, we're still waiting, but it's not actually nearly as bad as the previous one. But what I really want to do here is to buy a cable for my Sony laptop, which I happen to have. It's a very nice machine.
Okay.
And to do that, I got to go to this tiny little menu, and I'm not getting postage stamp size to actually scroll through
And
all
of course,
the
you're not going to see the
features.
word cable anywhere.
No. I got to kind of pick it out on electronics.
So you have to guess.
But the entire rest of the screen space is wasted, and the little tiny menu is my only bet or only kind of way of navigating the website. So I ask for the computers, and I go to get their computers.
And you haven't gotten any farther, really.
And notice this is a completely different design. So if I learned the first design, I now have to learn something new.
And you still don't know where cables are.
I have no clue, and I got to look at these tiny little pictures down here and remember which type of computers. So I'm going to click on that, and you know, it's quite a lot of clicks until you
And you still haven't gotten where you want to be.
Oh no, it's about 6 more clicks actually.
Let's go to another site, the Pepsi site.
Right.
Pepsi.com. Again, you would think this would be a pretty cool site, but you have issues with that one.
Well, Pepsi, I mean, maybe to be fair to them, it's hard to see what they really can do because you cannot take a taste test on the web. But
yeah, what are you going to do on a Pepsi website anyhow?
What are you going to do, right? So they really don't have anything really, I mean, they have these little blinking, moving things, but not anything
And of course, you
really
don't get
useful.
to see everything that's up there right now because of the way it's
Oh,
designed.
we have to scroll forever. Look, when I scroll here, only about half of my screen space is really active. The other half is, part on the top and part to the side are kind of being wasted, being static because they're using frames, which is usually a bad thing to do.
All right, let's go to another one, the USPS site, the Postal Service
We'll go to the
site.
post office, or Postal Service as they call it, and this is very fast, I should say that.
Yeah.
Another thing that's very good about this is the main thing in web design is really give people what they're there for. And why am I going to the post office? Well, to find, often the postal rates.
And it's right there in front of you.
Right here in front of me.
Click, boom, you got the answer.
Calculate domestic postage, international postage, and all. However, a bad thing is, if I want the international postage rates, it's going to give me a PDF file.
And so wait.
Which is really annoying. It loads up a separate program. Why do I have to
do you have
that?
the PDF plugin?
Oh, many people don't.
Sure.
And PDFs should just be banned from the web, except for if you want to download a big manual to print it out.
And who needs it? Just to look at postage rates.
It's just really, and it's even only one page actually.
And why is it a .com? That's
ridiculous.
confusing in the first place, right?
It really should be .gov. So they made that mistake as well.
Let's go to another one, Williams-Sonoma, which is a site I know you think is well designed.
Right. I think this is actually quite a nice site because they have a lot of nice little clean photographs. But notice how fast they come down because they're very small and very clean, and they really give an overview of all the different things they sell.
And what happens if you drill down here?
Let me click on dinnerware just as an example, and it'll show me what they're selling in that category. And again, very fast, very clean photographs.
Right.
And look down here how this photograph really helps me understand what they mean by serving pieces.
So it's a good use of graphics, not just to be cute, but to actually solve a problem.
Actually communicate, help the user, which it's about. Yeah.
Last site I want you to pull up, and I know you think this is the icon of a great site, which is Amazon.com.
Right. Amazon
and
is
explain why you think it's such a good site.
It's just really easy to find the books, which is like why you're there. And that's why they sell so much, because it's easy to get to. And you can do things like, searches, of course, right there, and you often want to do searches. So let's say we want to search for, I don't know, maybe Danny's book. But I misspelled his name, Danny Gutman, rather than Goodman.
Right, but it's smart enough to figure that out.
And I'll tell you, because I actually tried it, it does bring it up. And a lot of websites, if you misspell it, it's going to say...
Yeah, and there we go, figured it out.
Yeah, they're just going to say, no, we're not going to sell to you if you're so stupid.
All the cute things in the world solve the user's problem.
Exactly.
Huh? Jacob, thank you very much. That's it for our look at website design. I'll be back in just a moment with my pick of the week, a cool way to access any website without wires. Don't go away. Now for my pick of the week. If you're hooked on the web and the internet, you always want to have access, but right now that's not so easy. You usually need to be near a network outlet or an RJ11 jack. I've tried web-enabled cell phones, but it's kind of frustrating, but I finally found the perfect solution, and this is it, the Ricochet wireless modem. Ricochet has been around for a while, but it used to be a rather big, clunky thing that wasn't too reliable. This is the newest version, small and portable. It weighs less than a pound. There's a much bigger nationwide network out there, and it is fast, up to 128 kilobits per second. Just plug it into the USB port on your laptop, and you can surf the web anywhere, in the back of a cab, in an airplane, while you're on the ground, or sitting out by the swimming pool. The service is very good, and it is a terrific solution to always having web access on a full-fledged terminal like your laptop. No compromises. Watch multimedia, see full-page color displays, handle frames, Java apps, Flash, all without wires. Using the Ricochet wireless modem is not cheap. It's about $75 a month. But if you're a mobile professional and you want real, fast, wireless web access on your notebook computer, it's probably worth the extra few $100s a year. That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles. Thanks for joining us. If you have questions about anything you saw on this week's show, please check out our website at computerchronicles.org. And I hope we'll see you here again next week. Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by PC to PC, the online computer migration service from PC First, moving files, applications, and preferences from your old computer to your new one. Additional support is provided by Upside Events, presenting the Digital Lifestyle Revolution Conference, where people and technology intersect.
To purchase a videotape copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-310-7850. Please specify the show number and the topic.